Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm back with another video, and today Draft League is finally back. That's right, I'm bringing Draft League back to the channel. I haven't had any Draft League content in I think like years. I did one Little Cup video not that long ago, but besides that it's been years. So yeah, I'm super excited to be back. I've joined the MML, the Mesagoza Melee League, and this is actually going to be a Wi-Fi league. So I've never done Wi-Fi before either, so that's what makes this even more exciting. I've always wanted to do Wi-Fi, but I've never really understood how it all works, finding the right league, and all of that. So yeah, big shout to everyone in the MML, especially Cole and Nikki, who have really helped me out a lot and made this possible for me. So definitely a huge thanks to them. And yeah, let's get into this. So before I start, there are a couple of things that are unique about this league. It is going to be an open tera league. So that means any Pokemon on your team can tera into any type. So that's going to make it very interesting. I think it's actually quite cool because you don't see this allowed much really. And it is going to be very difficult to prep for, having anything, like you literally can't prep for everything. But it's different to other leagues, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes, to say the least. The other one is there is an item clause. So I've never been in a draft league where this has been a thing, but basically every mon on your team has to be holding a different item. You can't double up. So yeah, those are basically the two rules that are somewhat different, and let's get into the draft. So I think I had 8th pick out of 12, and I decided to go with Dragonite for my first pick. I was going to go Ogerpon-Fire, but one pick before me, it got picked up, so it crushed me at the time, but I couldn't be happier to have Dragonite. This thing with Tera is insane. Obviously Dragonite's an amazing mon just by itself, but with Tera it takes it to a whole other level, especially in draft. There are so many options you can Tera this into. You can go the more standard Tera normal, you could go Tera flying, you could go Tera fairy. Like, you could do so much with this, and I can really personalize it for the specific matchup. Dragonite's such a versatile mon, you know, you can go physical sets with Dragon Dance, you can go special sets as well, you can go mix with like Draco and stuff. And Dragonite has really good longevity as well, with access to Roost, and can do some cool stuff like even Encore, which could come in handy in specific scenarios. Yeah, I mean, there's literally so much this mon can do. I'm not going to go through it all, but yeah, super excited to have this as my first pick. Obviously, with the ability multi-scale, an insane ability. Basically takes half as long as you're at full from any attack, so that helps it big time, especially in setting up. In terms of items, you could run a lot of different things on this. You could run boots, choice band, I don't know, leftovers. You could even give it a resist berry as well. There's a lot of options. So yeah, I was super happy to pick Dragonite with my first pick. Next up, we have Ogerpon-Water, or Ogerpon-Wellspring, I think it's called, and I am so pumped to get this mon. As I said, I wanted the half flame one for my first pick, got sniped, and then all the rest were there, so I figured with 8th pick, it's definitely one of them's gonna get back to me. And actually, like, I think the next two picks were the regular Ogerpon and the rock one, so I was getting worried, but thankfully this thing fell back to me, and I couldn't be happier having this new mon. First of all, I love Ogerpon. I think it's so cute, and obviously it's insane. And because this league allows Tera, it takes it to a whole other level. I mean, as you can see, 110 base speed. This thing's very fast. 120 attack. Really nice as well. Has a great ability in water absorb. And then when you Tera this, you get the embody aspect ability, which basically gives you a +1 SPDF boost on top of Terraing. So this thing's going to be insane. I really do think. It can do a lot. Obviously, it has access to stuff like Swords Dance, Trailblaze, can also run spikes on it as well, so it gives me a hazard option, has a U-turn, has a knockoff, and obviously has its signature move, Ivy Cudgel, which is a 100 base power water type move that's going to hit incredibly hard. So I was so happy to get this mon, honestly. I wanted to try some of the new stuff, and yeah, getting Ogerpon-Wellspring was, it really did make me so happy. But yeah, like I said, I wanted to try out the new stuff, and next up, I was surprised this mon was still here, so I decided to go with Ursaluna-Bloodmoon. Now, I'm in another league as well on top of this, and I took Ursaluna-Bloodmoon with the first pick overall in that, so I'm super surprised this actually made it to the 3rd round. Like, I know it might not be the best mon in draft, but this thing's insane. I mean, they're looking to ban it in OU right now. I think it's probably better than regular Ursaluna, and I'm so excited to try this thing out. The ability Mind's Eye obviously is crazy. It has like, you can't get your accuracy lowered, but more importantly, it makes sure your normal type and fighting type attacks actually hit ghost types. So it's basically Scrappy. It's basically a better Scrappy. And then obviously with this thing's 135 special attack combined with its base 140 Blood Moon, which hits insanely hard. I mean, there's really no switch-ins. All you have is the steel types, and it's a ground type. It has earth power. So there's really not much that can deal with this at all. It is slow, but I think it's not going to be too big of a problem. Obviously has very good HP and defense with 113 HP, 120 defense. Speed F is a little lacking, but you do have actually a really good option in Calm Mind, and this thing also gets Moonlight, which I think is really nice to have recovery. Compared to normal Ursaluna, you're not going to be taking Flame Orb damage, and you're also not going to be taking Rocky Helmet. So I think this thing is actually going to be better than regular Ursaluna for sure. Like I said, has priority in Vacuum Wave, and yeah, I'm super excited to use this thing, especially on Wi-Fi. I think this thing's going to look crazy. So yeah, I actually think this actually fits pretty nicely with my team, right? I have two mons that are generally going to be physical attackers. I mean, Dragonite can go special, but this thing gives me a really strong special attacker to kind of even it out a bit. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's weak to fighting. Dragonite resists that. Weak to water. Ogerpon's immune to that. Also gives me a really nice ghost resist as well as, and yeah, I mean, poison resist, which helps Ogerpon. So I actually think this thing fits really nicely with my first two mons. Next up, I decided to go with Cleavor. I wasn't really sure what to go with here, but this is a mon I've been wanting to try for a long time now, and I actually think it's really good in draft. Like, it's good normally, but I think in draft it makes it even better. Like, I saw Q use it in the recent draft league. He did really well with it. I mean, obviously you see that base 135 attack, it's crazy. Base 85 speed, which isn't bad. But most importantly, this thing has Stone Axe, which actually sets up Stealth Rock as well as hitting as a physical rock type attack. I think it's 100% accuracy as well. Maybe it's 95 actually. Something like that. So better than most rock type attacks when it comes to accuracy. Also has the ability Sharpness, which boosts its slicing moves, which helps big time with this thing's Stone Axe with its X Scissor. Night Slash, I think there's another move that gets boosted by Sharpness as well. But yeah, obviously that helps it really well. Has setup in SD, also has access to Trailblaze as well, so this thing can definitely be a scary sweeper. And it offers a point of difference for my team. Being able to set up rocks without while also getting an attack off, I think really is going to help me a lot. So again, this thing's weak to water. Ogerpon's immune, so I think it fits nicely there. And this thing is going to be a really big problem for my opponents. Obviously, like I said, it can sweep. It can also just be like a sash lead and get up rocks early, get some good damage off. Like, this thing has a lot of options it can do. It could also run boots as well. So yeah, I think this is a really cool mon. I've been wanting to try it out, so definitely very happy to pick it up here. Next up, we have Pawmot, and they actually allow quite a lot in this league, and this thing's allowed to use Revival Blessing. I've never seen it be allowed to use Revival Blessing. I've always seen that banned. But yeah, they actually allow this thing to use Revival Blessing, which I think is going to help big time. I mean, I can obviously go in with threats like Dragonite, Ursaluna, Ogerpon, even Cleavor, and then I can bring them back essentially. So that's going to be really helpful, I think. I'm surprised they allow it, but they allow other stuff like Shed Tail as well. So this league definitely is more on the allowing things, and it could be seen as broken, but I actually think it's pretty cool because you never see leagues doing this, and it's going to make games a lot more wild for sure. So, I mean, this thing's really nice. It gives me an electric type, gives me a fighting type, two types I didn't have. Base 105 speed is actually a decent speed tier, so I like that, and 115 attack. Basically, I've just seen in a lot of matchups, like, this thing can go really crazy with its dual stabs. Like, obviously has Iron Fist as well to boost its punching attacks like Ice Punch, Mach Punch, and it can also run Volt Absorb as well if I want to run it that way. Yeah, this thing hits really hard. It has like a signature electric attack. I'm blanking on its name right now, but it's a very strong electric attack, and then it turns you into like a normal type or something afterwards, and you can't use it again. Something like that. But yeah, I mean, this thing also gives me priority, which we're starting to build some really nice priority now. We have E-Speed, Dragonite, Vacuum Wave, Ursaluna, Grassy Glide, Ogerpon, and now Mach Punch on this, so we have some really good priority going for us. I think this really adds to the team and is going to make my threats even scarier. Like I said, I mean, Revival Blessing is the main reason I picked this thing up, and I mean, it can do a lot more outside of that, but I mean, just allowing Revival Blessing, I think, makes this team like 10 times scarier, so I was super happy to pick this up here. It can do a lot for my team. Yeah, it gives me momentum in Volt Switch as well, so definitely a really good pickup here. Next up, I decided to go Klefki. So I think Klefki suits this team really well. As you can see, I have a lot of threats. I've got the Revival Blessing to go with it, and now we're pairing it with Screens, which I think, yeah, again, just makes it even scarier. Like, I think Screens for this team really helps and adds a lot. Obviously, Klefki does a lot for me, really. I mean, it has Prankster, which can help in stopping threats, like with Thunderwave. Can also set up dual screens as well, which have priority on dual screens as well, which is obviously going to be very important. Didn't have a Steel type, didn't have a Fairy type, that fits both of these. Yeah, and it also gives me spikes, so now I have spikes on Ogerpon, spikes on this, rocks on Cleavor. So actually building up some really nice hazard game. Yeah, I really think Klefki adds a lot here. I mean, it's very important to have a fairy in drafts, so yeah, I mean, this thing can do a lot as well. Has access to Magnet Rise, obviously Prankster Magnet Rise, so it can remove that ground weakness, or can just run a balloon as well. It can do that. It has a bunch of different items it can run, really. It can run the Light Clay, it can run the Leftovers, a berry, really anything you want. So yeah, this thing really adds to my team a lot. I have used it in the past ages ago in Draft League, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm super happy to have Keys here as kind of a support mon, which really is going to help me out, I think. Also, not bad attacking stats either. This thing does have Calm Mind. I think it might have Iron Defense, maybe. So this thing can actually run like a dual setup option as well, which could take my opponents by surprise, and yeah, can be really scary for them. Next we have Greninja. So as you can see with how I'm going with this team, I'm going in the more offensive direction. Don't have a lot of defense right now, but you know, I have really good bulky offense going so far. Greninja, I think there's a couple reasons I wanted to pick this up. First of all, I wanted more speed. My speed wasn't great. I was looking at the rest of... I mean, my speed's fine. I have Ogerpon at 110, Pawmot at base 105. So I think this really adds to it, giving me a base 122, which is going to be really helpful, I think. Speed is huge in draft. It really is. And the other thing this gave me is a Dark type, which I think is essential in draft. You definitely need a Dark type. And yeah, this thing gives me another scary sweeper, another spikes option, T-spikes as well. So again, we're adding to that hazards options we've got going on. We have so many different ways we could go with hazards. And yeah, this thing's just a really big threat for my opponent. Battle Bond and Protein are both allowed, so I can pick and choose which one I think is going to be better in the matchup, and this thing could definitely be a scary sweeper for my opponent. I mean, you know what Greninja does. You know how good its abilities are. Even with the Battle Bond nerf, I mean, Battle Bond's still crazy, right? So gives me even more momentum in U-turn as well, and also another priority option with Water Shuriken. So yeah, I think this thing adds a lot to my team. It was quite a lot of points at this stage in the draft, but I think it was definitely worth it. I love Greninja. Super happy with the pick. Okay, at this stage of the draft, my points were getting pretty low, and I saw this mon at 5 points, which I think is a complete steal. This is way better than 5 points in my opinion, and that's why I decided to go with Toedscruel. So I really do like Toedscruel. I've wanted to draft it anyway, so the fact that it was 5 points, I mean, that's really just a steal. Yes, it is double up on typings, but I don't think that matters too much. It does different things to both my Ursaluna and my Ogerpon. Gives me another Stealth Rock option on top of Cleavor, so that's good to have a bit of variety there. Again, this is another mon with spikes, so I mean, I have so many spikes. It's actually crazy. Like, hazards are not going to be a problem with me this time around. Also gives me Rapid Spin, which, as you can see from my team, I have Defog on Cleavor and Rapid Spin now with this. So at least it gives me some options with my hazard removal. I definitely want to have at least something else to remove the hazards, and I think this is actually really good at doing it and really effective. In terms of my other ground and grass type, it doesn't really stack too many weaknesses with them, so I think that's good as well. Gives me another good speed tier with base 100, and obviously has access to Spore. With the Mycelium Mite ability, it will go last, always. I think its status move will go last. But that's fine. I mean, having Spore on my team, I think that's a really good option. And yeah, it gives me another electric immunity, which I think is really helpful. As you can see from this thing's base 120 SPDF, that's going to really help with giving me a nice specially defensive option. Obviously, Ursaluna's great on the physical defensive side. And now this gives me a nice specially defensive option, so I think that's cool. It's very different to Ursaluna in that regard. And yeah, this is going to be my final removal option, and honestly, I don't think removal is as important as people think it is sometimes. Like, yeah, you need removal, but at the same time, like, if you look at my team, I have so many hazards options. Like, so many hazards options. So if I'm setting my hazards up, you know, they're going to have to get rid of theirs. They're going to have to get rid of theirs if they have defog. If they have rapid spin, you know, obviously I could go Terra Ghost on something and block it. But yeah, basically if they want to defog, they're going to have to get rid of their own hazards anyway. And with how my team is styled, it's very offensive. It's going to be hard for them to get removal off anyway. So yeah, as long as I'm pressuring them with my hazards, I actually don't think it's too big of a problem. Obviously, one Pokemon every week can run heavy duty boots as well, which can help out in that regard also. So yeah, I think basically Toadschool for 5 points, a complete steal, and yeah, I think it offers something different to the team that I didn't already have. Gives me some really essential things in Stealth Rock and Rapid Spin, as well as Spore, so I like it a lot. Next up, we have Galarian Slowbro. So I was weighing up a couple different options at this point. Obviously, a grounded poison is essential in draft, so I definitely want to pick one of those up. I was considering either going this route, which is a lot more points, so left me with less points for my last two picks, and I was going to go like Muck and Talonflame maybe, but I decided I'm just going to invest all my points into this. I really do think it's so much better than Muck, and I think in terms of fit for the team, this fits a lot more. I mean, it still goes with my bulky offense route. This thing can actually be very scary offensively, and obviously defensively isn't bad either. Has reliable recovery and slack off. Like I said, gives me a grounded poison type. Also gives me a psychic type, which my team didn't have. And then obviously this thing has two great abilities in Regenerator to help it recover, and then also Quick Draw, which, I mean, this thing with Quick Draw and Quick Claw, I'm not sure if Quick Claw's allowed, but I think it is. So yeah, I mean, this thing has a very solid chance at moving first every turn anyway. And what I really like most about this is it gives me a Trick Room option to go with my Ursaluna. So I think this makes a really nice pairing with Ursaluna. It gives me a nice Trick Room option for sure. And like I said, I think this fits better, so I think spending more points on it was worth it. Grounded Poison, you need it. And I can see myself bringing this mon quite a lot. Makes a nice pairing with the Ursaluna, and yeah, like I said, offensively, this thing can be very scary. I believe it has Nasty Plot, Trick Room, like I said, and then can obviously move first any given turn. And yeah, obviously has its signature move, Shell Side Arm as well. So that's obviously nice, and you know, maybe we could even go for a Belly Drum set at some point. I don't know, just putting it out there, perhaps. Yeah, so I think this fits really well at this stage of the draft and was totally worth the points. Next, I decided to go with Sneasel. So at this stage, I had 4 points left and I had to pick 2 Pokemon. You must pick 11 in this draft. So I was looking through the 2 points, looking what could actually be of use. And I actually think Sneasel is a really good option from the 2 points. It offers a point of difference in my team. Obviously the base 115 speed, which is another great speed stat, which I didn't have. And gives me another dark type as well as an ice type, which I think is important. And looking at my team so far, I can be a little weak to Dragon outside of Klefki. Could be a little bit of a problem, so having priority ice shot in this I think really helps. Obviously has SD and can also run Eviolite as well, and this could be a really good Tera option in certain scenarios as well, so I wouldn't rule that out either. yeah, basically just with what I had left, I think this fit really nicely, adds to my offense, adds to my speed, and yeah, gives me an ice type, which I didn't have. So I think this was like the best option from the 2 points remaining. Oh, and lastly, I forgot to mention about Sneasel. Obviously it has knockoff, right? So it got that back, I believe, just recently. So, I mean, knockoff is great. Getting it back is huge. Obviously it hits even harder, and getting rid of items is always great. So as you can see here, last up, I decided to go with Reboot. Again, only had 2 points left, was looking at what was there, and I think this was the best option. Reboot is interesting for sure. Obviously the pre-evo of Cinderace gives me a fire type, which I didn't have. Obviously has Libero as well, which could be cool. Yeah, and this thing's attack isn't bad. Has potential with Scarf, even Flame Charge sets. I mean, I believe it has Sword Dance as well. And yeah, so this thing could low-key be a threat. Not sure how much I'll bring it, but I think it's definitely an option for sure. So that is going to wrap it up for my draft. This draft, I really wanted to make sure every mon on my team was solid and that I could bring any mon any week. I really wanted that depth in my team, and I think I've done that here. Like, pretty much any mon I could see myself bringing every week. They genuinely offer something different each, and they're all great in my opinion. So even mons like Sneasel and Reboot, I could definitely see myself bringing in some scenarios as well. So I was super happy with overall having as many great options as I do. I really do think I can bring any mon, and yeah, I mean, in review, my speed actually is pretty solid. I have Gren at 122, then Sneasler at 115. From there, I have Ogerpon at 110, Pawmot at 105, Toedscool at 100, I believe Cleavor 85, Dragonite 80. So yeah, my speed tiers are actually pretty spread out as well, which I think is really solid. So the speed went pretty well. Obviously, they're going to be teams with faster mons, but like I said, my hazard options are really good. Have so many spike options, have T-spikes, have lots of rocks options. And then also I have so much priority, which I think is really important. Like obviously, like I said, E-Speed, Dragonite, Grassy Glide, Ogerpon, Vacuum Wave, Ursaluna, Mach Punch, Pawmot. Obviously, Klefki has Prankster, Greninja has Water Shuriken, Sneasel has Ice Shard. So yeah, I have a lot of priority options here, which is definitely cool. I think that's going to be really beneficial for me. So yeah, I think overall I built a really good, bulky offensive squad. Let me know what you think of the team down below. Leave a comment. I'm super excited for this. I can't wait for draft to be back, and super thankful to be a part of this league. So yeah, I hope you guys are excited. I can't wait. First battle will be up next week, and I'll see you all for that. Peace.